Um, no, I tore down a brick wall onto my leg. So, yeah, teaser for a future episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second podcast episode. We've made it, Frank. They always say the first one's the hardest.
Hey, we have a title at least, so
Yes, we do
welcome
have a
to
title.
Winging
Yeah,
It.
this is Winging It. I am Sammy, and this is my co-host Frank. And today we are talking about our trip to Costa Rica, and we chose this as our second episode because this is really where our friendship kind of formed and solidified. So we wanted to share a little bit about that experience with you all, and just kind of take you through some of the memories and yeah, just a little trip down memory lane. But Frank, since you are the one who actually put this trip together, why don't you start us off by talking about what goes on into putting a trip like this together and how that happened?
Yeah, I've been doing these international trips for the local Audubon chapter for 3 or 4 years, I guess, at that point. And basically, it's through a travel agency. I reach out to them and say, I've got some people who want to go to this country to see birds. Costa Rica is what we picked. And they come up with this template, the basic itinerary, how many days, the cost. And then we go in and we tweak it a little bit. It's like, I'd like an extra day here at this place. Let's go here instead of here. And, it's hard to do that blind because you don't really know necessarily place. If you've never been to the places, it's a little bit challenging to be like, well, I don't know. Should we do this or that? And I wish the guides were a little bit more involved in that process, but I
Mm.
trust the people putting these trips together and I just tweak them a small amount. And then I start bothering people and asking if they want to go to Costa Rica or wherever it is. And, usually a few local people will jump on board and then they cancel and they come back and, they go back and forth a little bit. And at the very last minute, it either all comes together or it doesn't. And
Yeah,
this one did, this one came together. I think you were one of the last ones to join, or was that Belize? I can't remember.
I can't remember. It was, I know for Belize, I wasn't planning on going originally, but then I said, oh, what the
Okay.
heck. I think Costa Rica might have been, I think I hopped on pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah, I know Belize was toward the end, but yeah, Costa Rica was the Costa Rica trips always fill up pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and most of the people will stick it out and go. So it's a very popular place for a reason. It's amazing, and I can't wait to talk about my near death experiences and all the birds we saw.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Many people's near death experiences, apparently.
It's true.
It's
It was.
a deadly
This is my
place.
second time going to Costa Rica. The first time I went was a 6 day introduction to neotropical birding kind of a thing. So we went to a couple of locations. That was right at the tail end of COVID times, and
Oh,
everybody was nervous. We had to get tested. If you tested positive for COVID while abroad, you actually had to isolate there for I think 10 or 14 days. And our general consensus was if that happens, I think it's like, oh no, I have to spend 2 weeks in Costa Rica. Please, no, not that. So it really wasn't, people were cautious and we took precautions and wore masks and everybody tested negative before we came back to the States or Canada, wherever anybody was going back to. But it was a great introduction to Costa Rica. And I was eager to go back with this trip that we
yeah.
went on, not during COVID times to, try some different places and see some different things. It was a good trip. I enjoyed it mostly.
Mostly when you weren't, imploding on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, for me, so yeah, also, I guess we should say we went last year in March of 2024. And yeah, that was my first time birding internationally, at least intentionally. I had done some birding in South Africa when I studied abroad there. But that was more just like I was the only one. There weren't any guides. I was with a bunch of other college students. So it was really just up to me. I actually ended up breaking my leg there. Maybe that's another episode. Yeah.
Was that while you were birding? Because that would be kind of funny.
um, no, I tore down a brick wall onto my leg. So yeah, teaser for a future episode.
Hmm. It's an amazing misadventures. Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, for Costa Rica, yeah, this was my first time going to a country intentionally to bird. And that, honestly, I remember coming back from that trip and thinking like my life has been changed. Um, and I mean, partly just because the birds are incredible, right? Um, but I think for me too, just kind of being with the group and with the guide and just, at least from, I wasn't sick. I didn't get sick until afterwards. I had, just some kind of stomach issues when I got back home. But while I was there, it just felt so magical. So I remember just thinking, I was like, I have to keep doing this. Um, yeah, and I'll show this later, but I even got a tattoo. Well, I won't show my tattoo, but I'll show the bird that inspired my tattoo.
Keep it PG, Sammy.
Keep it PG. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
agree
here,
with you though. 100%. It's an addiction at this point. Like I got back from Costa Rica the first time, and this opportunity to go to Panama came up a couple months later, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna do it. And then I booked the next trip to Ecuador, and then Costa Rica again, and Belize, and it's just like I want to see all of these amazing birds now, and it's impossible to financially is the only thing that is like keeping me in check at this point. Responsibilities and all, you know.
yeah, you know, it's bird till you're dead, right? But yeah, so you went to Costa Rica, then you went to Panama first, or was it Ecuador?
I went to Costa Rica and Panama in 2022, and then Ecuador was spring of 2023,
Okay. Yeah, then back to
winter
Costa Rica,
spring.
then Belize.
Yeah.
So yeah, full slate. Well, here, let's kind of dive into, I have our trip report on eBird, and we'll kind of use that as a template to walk through the trip, kind of share some highlights, go through some checklists, look at some pictures, tell some stories. Okay.
Convince people to go to Costa Rica. It's not hard.
Yes.
I feel like birders are halfway to Costa Rica already. Just being around here in the area and birding with people who do a lot of traveling. Costa Rica was always that place. It's like, oh, have you been to Costa Rica yet? Are you going to Costa Rica?
You're
It's
right.
like constantly, that's all you hear. And I really had
Right.
high expectations for it, and it did not fail to deliver. So, go to Costa Rica,
It did
everybody.
not. So if you're not familiar with eBird, you can put together a trip report based on all the checklists that you submit to the website. And so this is the trip report that we put together for our trip. So you can see we started in San Jose, birded around here, and then we went kind of down the Pacific coast. So there's two slopes, Pacific slope and the Caribbean slope. We chose to stay on the Pacific slope, so we went down here, down the coast, and we kind of worked our way down towards Panama,
We're
and
close.
kind of worked our way down. Yeah, we did. Yeah, so you can see right here when we were in San Vito, we got pretty close to the Panama border right there. So, and then, then we ended up in the mountains, pretty high elevation. What was it? Some places 10,000 feet. I can't remember.
When we went to Cerro de la Muerte, yeah,
Yeah, and
which
look for the
is one of my
volcano
favorite spots
juncos.
now.
Yeah, and then you can see here, you see it says Parque Nacional Los Quetzales. So that is where we hung out with the Quetzals, which is definitely a highlight for most people. Apologies to those who are listening on just the audio version, but you can imagine. We'll put this trip report in the show notes so you can follow along here. But where do you want to start here, Frank? I guess we can start with flying into San Jose.
Beginning. Yeah.
The beginning. That's
Always
always a
start
good
at the
place.
beginning. Yeah. I like flying into San Jose. I still have that excitement of it being like I just got on a plane and left the country, and now I'm going to go birding for X number of days. And so I
Right.
like getting to these international airports. And then
Okay.
the first
Yeah.
hotel
So
we
we
stayed
stayed
at.
in the Hotel Bougainvillea. That was our first
Yep.
place. And I
It
remember for
seems like
me,
a lot of tours start there.
hmm I remember for me, yeah, because this was my first time in the tropics too, just of any kind. So you get down there and you're just I'm kind of weird in the sense that, I mean, many reasons, but um, where the sun is a big deal to me. So having the sun like directly overhead was kind of intense for me. Um,
Huh.
just like, whoa, you could just feel like you're just in a different place. The sun felt different. The, the energy, the atmospheric energy, if you want to call it that. Um, I just remember thinking like, oh wow, I'm in the tropics. So what's nice too about, some of these, trips, at least the place that you booked us through is they take care of everything, right? So we just showed up and I just got kind of whisked from the airport to the hotel. So that was very nice. So I had a
I love
couple
hearing
of
that.
checklists. I think these were just, oh, was this just, oh yeah, this was just you and me. Look, you and me just making a checklist right here.
Huh.
The first one. So this was Wednesday we came in and you can see right
Mm.
away, I mean, all these beautiful birds. So rufous tail hummingbird, kind of I don't want to call any bird in Costa Rica a trash bird, but probably the most common hummingbird you'll see in Costa Rica.
I feel very confident in identifying the rufous-tailed hummingbird, and I've seen them in like every country that I've traveled to down south. So it's not a trash bird. It's like the calibration bird. You see that one, and you're like, okay, I know where I'm at now. It's okay. It's the rufous-tailed hummingbird. Locked in.
Yeah, and then so on the hotel grounds again, if you're listening to an audio version, you should really just check out the eBird report so you can look at our photos. But yeah, this was the lessons. I loved them. I think too, it's like one of those things where you get somewhere new, you're like, oh my gosh, every bird is just spectacular and new and exciting.
Mhm.
And right, these are just on the hotel grounds, and it is a bit overwhelming. I don't know if that was your experience
Oh,
when,
yeah.
you first went to the tropics. I was just like, I don't know any of these.
Yeah. It was just like you step outside, and it's just like all of these unfamiliar sounds and these bright flashes of color, people running around taking pictures, and it's just like this is amazing. And you just like dive in and you're just like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. You're taking pictures and then you do like a guided walk and it kind of starts to come back together. And it's a great way to kind of, jump right into it, right? It's like you see the blue gray tanagers and stuff, and it's like, oh, they're so cool. And then you see them again, and that exposure starts to really add up, even
Yeah,
through
and I think,
different countries.
sometimes we as more advanced birders can kind of, poo poo on things like eBird or not eBird, Merlin. But I found Merlin, very crucial for this trip, and just sort of helping you of like, birds that were like, okay, I mean, I would always listen and then like, check back and make sure that's what
Right.
Merlin was accurate. Cause especially in the other areas, it doesn't have as much data to work with. But
Yeah. Yeah. At least they warn you now. It's like only 85% of birds in this area. Thanks for that.
right. But that was really helpful for me to get just familiar with the calls. And also what I ended up doing, if I heard a bird that was like too far out, that, like I couldn't, like Merlin couldn't pick up, I would whistle it into my phone recording and then just try to go back later and find like I actually ended up identifying one species that way. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly it. I remember that.
That's funny. I will sometimes imitate the birds that I hear, but I don't think to record that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, no, it's very, very exciting. So here, let's go to our, first checklist we did as a group. So there were, how many of us were there?
I want to say like 10 or 11. 12, I guess, if you count maybe the guide.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good sized group. So I remember, yeah, we had this mottled owl in the bamboo there. So you can see that's why these pictures are
Yeah.
so kind of grainy. He was really high up in there.
So hard,
In the
so hard to find that bird.
It was. I
And
remember
it
the
was
first
there
day we
the
got
last
there.
time I went to that hotel too. It's always been there, and it's always really
That's
hard
his
to find.
spot. That's his
Yeah.
spot. And I remember, when I was looking for, this guy the first day, bamboo is very sharp. Like if you can see like these little ridges, like that where the pieces kind of join together, that I got cut up pretty good trying to like get in the bamboo and trying to see this owl. So if you're ever looking for, modeled owls in bamboo, just, you know, keep your, limbs close together.
So
Um, but yeah, you just kind of look. Yeah, we had tons of rufous back wrens. You see, they were everywhere. Beautiful wrens, pretty large too. And then the
I
rubus
also enjoy
pepper.
seeing the pepper strike is cool. I, I mean, we're all little weird birders, right? But I enjoy seeing some of the birds that are from North America, the migratory species that are down there. So I get a kick out of seeing the Philadelphia vireos and the yellow warblers. It's just kind of cool to see them in a different habitat. So I do get a
Oh,
little
for sure.
excited when I see my warbler bingo birds down in the tropics. So
For sure, for sure. Yeah, that's how I felt too when we went to Belize. We were at
yeah.
the gas station. We saw the yellow-throated warbler just hanging out at a gas station.
And
Like,
the air
okay,
conditioning unit. Yeah.
yeah, I was sorry. I was just picking bugs from the air conditioning unit. So, but okay, that's another episode. We gotta stay on track.
Yeah. Yeah. Focus. So this hotel is where the sickness began for me. Because I got there, I think, a
Okay.
day before you did.
Yeah.
And I went out and birded around the hotel that afternoon. And yeah, I was fine. Woke up the next morning, I was fine. And then we met and did that checklist, I think. And sometime in that afternoon, I started not to feel great. And I was just like, oh
Mm.
man, I'm gonna go lay down. And it just went downhill really like fast, like food poisoning or some kind. I have no idea what happened. And I had to like go meet the guide and tell him I wasn't gonna come to the dinner and then like run back to the room. And I don't know how I made the bus in the morning. To be honest with you, I was up like all night. It was miserable. So the first couple of days of this trip were very touch and go for me, and I do not remember a lot of it. So I'm curious to go through and relive what I was physically present for and mentally absent for.
This will be a fun exercise then. Um, yeah, I remember. Honestly, I think maybe it's because I just didn't know you as well, but I feel like you played it down pretty well. I would not have guessed. I thought like you were like, oh, he seems. I mean, I could tell you weren't feeling great, but that was mostly because you were saying so, and then you had a lot of hiccups. Um,
Oh yeah, that
so I
was like
just
that day three, day two or day three of that. I don't know where that came from. It was just like nonstop hiccups. That hurt. That was not cool.
yeah, you were hiccuping all the time, and I
Yeah.
you just like
And I
so
was just
all I
like,
had to say is
yeah,
you held it together well.
you had to. Yeah, it's just such a pace.
When did you actually start to feel better?
That first night was the worst. And then we went to the next hotel. I vaguely remember we went to another hotel. Like I was throwing up all the first night. And then the second night I threw up a couple of times. And then after that, that kind of stopped. And I was like, just completely, I think then the hiccups came after that because my body was just like, what the hell just happened? Right. I think sometime after that is when things started to like kind of normalize. But it probably like it was probably like day 4 or 5 before I started to feel like human again. But it was hot. I remember it being very hot and humid for several days in a row.
Yes.
And I was just like
Yeah, it wasn't until we
toast.
got into higher elevations that it improved.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, just before we went into Savegre and into the higher elevations is probably when I started to become more coherent.
Well, let's see if you remember. Yeah, so this was our first checklist after the hotel. We just kind of drove and stopped by a grassland, and this was one of my favorite birds to see, the double-striped
Oh,
thickney.
we pulled off on the side
I
of the road to get that, right?
Yep, yep. It was, yeah, I
Right.
remember it was hot.
Yeah.
But this
I
was
do
a
remember
really
this.
cool bird, I thought.
It's very funky
So
looking.
and you
I just love
and
the
you can see
name.
there's
Like
also
the name fits it.
yeah. Yeah, no, it does. I mean, technically that's not their right. That's their like ankle rather than their knee. For those who don't know, the birds'
Technicality.
knees are more tucked up in their feathers. So really, what you're seeing as their quote unquote knee is basically their kind of elongated ankle and foot. So this, yeah, I remember stepping outside the bus here and just being overwhelmed. It was like, oh my gosh, it is hot.
Mhm.
You just kind of try to stand in the shade of the bus or a tree
Yeah.
and just try not to like get fried. At least, I'm a pale skinned fellow. So just try not to get burned as much as you can.
Yeah. That's definitely something to take into consideration in these places.
Yep. Yep. And then from there, yeah, I think this is down the same road. We stopped. Do you remember these? We stopped
Mhm.
to look at a family of screech owls, Pacific screech
Yep.
owls.
Yeah, they were cool.
And that was really cool because they're roosting, right? And so you can see here we got pictures of the young birds, and then the adults. And I think there's fewer greater pictures than a roosting owl. Just kind of like this, especially this picture I'm showing here, where you got the eye half open, and it's just like, what
Mhm.
are you doing here?
Yeah, they always look so disgruntled, shocked or disgruntled.
Exactly. And then we went, we went, this is, I think, a little further down the road, but this was our first macaw sighting. They were actually visiting a nest. This was also just kind of pulled off on the side of the road. Do you remember this part?
This one's a little fuzzy.
Okay. Cause we pull off, we're going down a road. I believe we were going to that crocodile place. The boat tour? And
Oh,
this was
I
on
do
the
remember
way.
the boat.
Yeah, this was on the way there, and there was just they had this big cavity in this tree, and so we just stopped and watched the macaws for a while. It was beautiful.
Love the macaws.
So yes, but from there, I believe, yeah, this is interesting to kind of go down here. Oh yeah, so in Calle Le Barca, this is where I got one of my calendar photos, the black and white owl. Actually, let's see. Oh, let me see here. Flip through my calendar. Believe that was my July version, just because you can kind of tell. Oh, yep, just past that. You can see that. So, I
Nice.
mean, it was just so hot, and you can see these birds. I can't remember what Roger called it. He called it like some pose of or maybe someone else did it like a yoga pose.
Does look like a stretch. Yeah.
So, but this is probably actually one of my favorite birds, just because it's so striking, especially with the There's so you can see there's actually a pair here, just the black and the white and the orange bill, and just seeing them, yeah, in the middle of the day, hot, and they're just kind of in this weird sort of like open wing pose to release the heat. I thought that was really, really cool. Really happy with that bird.
Very impressive
So yeah,
bird.
kind of going through the checklists here. Yeah, this is the article
There's
list.
the boat
This is
tour.
so you can see here on eBird, they kind of show you. So we're basically here in this river, just kind of touring along the river, right along the edge of the Pacific coast. So just to give you some
I
context
was
for
real
those who are
nervous about this.
watching.
This
Were
boat
you?
ride had me nervous. Oh yeah, because I
Interesting.
was still like on the edge of not knowing that I would be
Oh,
okay for 2 hours on a boat. But then we saw the zone-tailed hawk. I finally got my life for a zone-tailed hawk on this boat. So
oh, that's right.
all the way down to the bottom.
You should tell everybody more about your zone-tailed hawk story, or just the
Um,
nemesis of the zone-tailed hawk.
yeah, that's everybody. Most birders have nemesis birds, right? So my nemesis bird is the zone-tailed. They come out here in the winter. They hang out in a place that I'm up in like several times a week doing deliveries and things. And so I stop and look for them pretty much every time I'm up there, and nothing, never. They're always gone, right? I always miss it, and so it's been a bird that I've just kind of stopped chasing at this point. And I'm like, if I find it, I find it. It'll come to me. And then I even went to Panama during the frontier migration, and I'm like, oh yeah, we get zone-tailed hawks coming through all the time. Nothing, nothing. We went to hawk watches and everything. And then no, Swainson's galore, no zone-tail. And then just unexpectedly here on a river in Costa Rica, Sammy goes, oh, there's a zone-tailed hawk. That was not as dramatic as I thought it was going to be. I'm like half conscious, like, oh, there's my nemesis bird. Cool. So now it's just a county level nemesis bird, but it's
Yes.
no longer a lifetime nemesis.
Yeah, we saw one in Belize. Yeah, my first time seeing the zone tail was in Arizona. And I remember seeing it with turkey vultures, which is kind of what they do. Um, it
Yeah.
doesn't look like a turkey vulture from this picture, but they'll when you see them, they fly just like a turkey vulture, And so they'll kind of hide in the groups of turkey vultures because, right, turkey vultures eat dead things. So any prey the zone tail's going for is not going to see a kettle of turkey vultures and be concerned with that. So, but it hangs in there, and then yeah, out of the hiding in plain sight, it comes for the kill.
It was very clever.
The bird I really liked the most from this tour was this guy, the turquoise browed motmot. I mean, the tail is just fantastic. I just love those rackets, and I mean, and also just you could see just sort of the kind of the shimmering turquoise above the eye is just really quite beautiful. So yeah, again, I encourage people to look through the checklist. We're not going to go through like all our talk about every single bird because this podcast would be as long as the as long as the trip to Costa Rica. But
Right.
yeah, a lot of really good birds here. Oh yeah, one I did want to mention you can see all sorts of waders and egrets and herons. So we got, we can just go through these briefly. We got the white ibis, all right, just stunning roseate spoonbills. And we got young birds and mixed in with the ibis, the bare-throated tiger heron, which I was a big fan of. Love that guy. Young bird, and then little blue herons. this bird's pretty great right here. So again, encourage everyone to look at that checklist. Now eBird has this feature, didn't back then, so maybe I'll have to go through, but you can add media of other species because we saw tons of crocs, which is kind of what this place is known for. And also then a bunch of basilisks, otherwise known as the Jesus Christ lizard, because they like to run on water. Right. Yeah. Okay, so we're at Tarkalis. Yes, then we stopped by, again, this was, I remember, another side of the road. There's just a bunch of these oropendolas, which are basically like a blackbird for those who don't know, and they construct these huge weaving nests and hang out in colonies of them. So, this is the great thing about Costa Rica, but really about birding anywhere. I feel like you can just be like, oh yeah, there's this random spot on the side of the road. You can see this really cool bird.
You're in the know.
In the know. So yeah, let's so again, we don't want to try to go through every single detail, but I think I remember for me that first day, just kind of being introduced to all those birds, it was just like yeah, the kind of just the vibrancy of the country, of the birds. It just felt I think for me it was just mind blowing, and that day, because we're really close to the sea right there. It's really low elevation, really hot, really humid. So even though it was like miserable in that sense, what I really enjoyed was just that kind of feeling of like, oh, I'm really in the tropics. This is real tropical birding. I'm really experiencing what this is like to be there.
That is true.
And this is coming from someone too who, like, I didn't grow up on the East Coast or, go to like the East that much. So like I'm a West Coast, Southern California boy. So like I am not used to any sort of humidity really whatsoever. So that's all, like, that's just kind of always a new thing for me. I know Frank is laughing because I'm sure like in the summer it's just like, yeah, this is just a normal day in Jersey.
Yeah, you don't go outside. Why would you? It's 100. It's like, temperature is 90 degrees, but it feels like 110. That kind of situation is not. You can see why I left, right? That's a big reason why I left. Well, thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, we kept going down the coast. We had that hotel the first night. I remember checking in and it was just pouring rain.
Yeah.
So, but we only stayed there for a day, right? Or one night.
One night. Yeah, we left in the morning.
Yeah, that was eventually we stayed a couple places more than like, like 2 nights in a row, which was really nice. I liked that. I really enjoyed that a lot.
But you kind of settle in a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like every kind of hotel we stayed at, once we kind of got down the coast or we're in the lowlands, you're always going to see these birds, the scarlet rump tanagers. They're just like flipping everywhere. There's
I
just become
always,
like this.
yeah.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I struggle with the birding in the tropics and all the different birds, because there's so many of them, right? There's just hundreds and hundreds of different species, and a lot of them start to like overlap, and the names start to get jumbled in my
Mm.
head a little bit. And so there's the format. It's like color, body part, bird name, right? And so like scarlet rump tanager and crimson back tanager, like it all starts to get real crazy in my head because it's just synonyms, right? It's like scarlet and crimson and red and vermilion, and it really, I struggle to keep them straight sometimes. So I'm working on that. But it's just like the hummingbirds are the worst, to be honest with you, because there's like so many that you run out of ways to call them hummingbirds, and on like mountain gems and fairies and all kinds of different things. And
Exactly. Yeah, what
overwhelming.
are the hummingbirds we have here in this list? We have okay, so we have wood nymph, we have hermit, wood nymph, hummingbird, and golden tail. 4 different names for hummingbirds.
I was going to say
So,
the mott with that tail, the long tailed feather. There are hummingbirds in Ecuador that have that. They have tiny little racket tails, and they're the
mm,
cutest thing because they have little fuzzy boots and racket tails, and it's adorable. Highly recommend.
I know. I really want to get up into South America to see, to see all the. I mean, because the further you get to the equator, the better those hummingbirds become. And they just become crazy. So moving on, yeah, we left that place, and then the next day we went to. So we went. I don't know. Did you remember the mannequin, the orange colored mannequin? Were you with us? I don't think everyone saw it
Yeah,
either.
you don't know. I've seen most of the mannequins several times or heard them, so I don't remember if I saw this one, but I know I did miss
Oh,
a trip or two in there.
yeah, and this also was
That's pretty
the
good. Looks
first
at it.
time we saw some army ants. At least I did, or not. Sorry, not army ants. Leafcutter ants.
Okay,
I
yeah.
remember they were just just kind of cruising along the road, or whatever trail we had, and just like everyone's watch out for the ants. Make sure to
Uh-huh.
make sure to step over the ant trail. You can just see this line of ants with you just see a bunch of leaves moving, and you're like, what are these leaves? Oh, they're ants carrying the leaves.
They're very cool.
And then this was also, I feel like, for me at least, when I would start to step out and my glasses would just fog up. I don't know if you have this experience, but for me, my glasses would just fog up instantly, like as soon as you got out of the bus.
Yeah, binoculars, camera, everything it was a struggle.
So that was
I'm glad you made
something,
it.
and I was just like, how do you adapt to this? But you just power on. It's for the birds. It's for the birds.
That's it.
Okay. So where was I'm trying to go through the checklist here and try to remember, where do we stop at for the second night? I think it was
Yeah.
Esquinas. Yes, it was Esquinas. So this was the place here. I want to pull up this checklist here. So we stayed there for 2 nights, and I remember what I remember from this was the rails were insane. They went nonstop, like all. So you can see this picture by Herb. He has captured the essence of this bird brilliantly. They just were screaming their heads off all the time. The gray-cowled wood rail, because they're just like
There's
right
just like
outside
little
of
ponds. They're
right.
circling the pond on the trails, screaming the whole time.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
that's perfect.
this too is where we started to hear some tinamous. Um, and I started to come up with my way to remember all the Tinamu calls.
That's right. Are you going to be doing some Tinamu calls for us?
Yes, yes. So let's see if I remember them. I think that was the Great Tinamu. It's kind of like a quivering ooh, ooh, ooh. So, but it's like it's
Yeah.
really quite beautiful and haunting. You hear that, um, in the coming through the forest. I think we have a picture of one later. Yeah, you can see we recorded, but we'd hear them like in the evening all the time. So that was one of my favorite sounds, was just hearing the tinamous calling. And again, we have scarlet rump tanagers, always has scarlet rump tanagers. But I really liked this lodge a lot because I feel like it was a good, well, first we were all really tired and hot, so I think everyone was happy to stay just in one place for
Yeah.
2 nights. But then it had a great pool. Um, and yeah, the birding around the lodge was amazing. And I mean, the Hummers too. Remember? Oh, yeah. So let's see if we have. Let's see if the checklist has a picture of one of these. But remember the morning we were there. There's this big racket because there were all
Oh yeah.
these. What was it? Two moths that were mating. Do you remember that?
I don't. I thought it ended up just being a leaf, but it was something like that. There were two moths, or it was like a dead leaf in the shape of two moths that they thought was something else.
Yeah, but the birds did not like that. I remember. So we just like were at
Yeah.
breakfast, and then I'll see if I can find a picture of that. I know. I think I took or somebody took a picture of that. Um, but yeah, we got some re- we got some really great shots of Hummers because all of these whatchamacallits, heliconias. There you go. Pretty sure that's right. My
How's it?
botany is behind my birding. But I love all these heliconias. You can see they're just right from the you know right next to the breakfast area. So it was really cool to see those Hummers. And I think for me, my favorite bird of this particular morning was this guy down here. Another one of my calendar birds, the green honey creeper. Love
Oh,
this
yeah.
bird. Was really happy we got to see it. There's got a good picture here
Love that
too.
color. Blue green
Yeah, so and
color is
actually here
really
I'll,
cool.
I'll I'll click on the web page for this. So you can see adult
Where is it?
male, this brilliant kind of radiant blue, and then the female is kind of kind of lime
Kind of
green.
reminds me. It's like it's giving painted bunting. We have the overly colorful male and then the green overall female. Just kind of
Mmm.
similar vibes there.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Um, and then, or actually, what I think of too, I think of the Williamson sapsucker, because that's another bird where they thought the males and females are
Yeah.
so different. They thought they were different species for a while. But I did find the checklist here for the tinamous. We actually got to see them, which is not that common. You're gonna hear them a lot. So you see, they're just giant, kind of like weird prehistoric chicken birds. That's how I feel. They're just like this. What? This is a bird? So
Yeah,
I mean,
they
I
do
don't know
look
how else you
very
would
strange.
classify it,
Tiny little
right?
head. What is that?
Yeah, tiny little head and just like, yeah. But those are tinamous. I think there are. I think I read there's like something like 50 tinamous species. I'll have to check that, but um,
Yeah.
I know only a few people have seen all the tinamous species. But yeah, this was just
Goals.
again kind of walking around I mean, that's the beautiful thing about these places. You just walk around the trails around the lodge and you get all these amazing species. And it's just so cool. It just feels so, I feel spoiled. I don't know about you, but I feel spoiled going to these places.
Oh, 100%. It's hard to come back here and be like, wait, I gotta like drive an hour to go somewhere and like see five birds. Like, where's the 15 lifers sitting outside the breakfast table? Come on. It's hard to come back from that for sure.
Yeah,
That's the
I
high
think
you're
that is
chasing every time you want to go somewhere new.
right, right. So one thing that was also cool about, and I'll pull up this checklist. Um, we were able to help. So Roger was our guide, Roger Melendez, and we heard a choco screech owl, which was rare for Costa Rica. So um, we, he said to us, he's like, I thought I had heard it. I think it was just me and Christina that went with him, but we were able to go and help get some recordings and document it as like I think it's like the only place in Costa Rica or one of the few places that they occur was here and like they're known to occur by this lodge. So that was a cool little you don't think you're gonna help the local guide find a rarity or document a rarity, but we did. So that was a little side benefit there.
It's always a good
So
rule of
from the,
thumb that if the guide gets excited on a trip, that you should instantly be very excited because that's like they do this for a living, right? They're here all the time. And if they see something exciting to them, it's like and something you didn't even consider possible, probably. So that's always a good time.
yes, yes, I feel like that's what well, I mean, we'll talk about this when we talk about police, but that's what it was like for Jonathan, I feel like, and the Katinga. That was a
That
beautiful,
was
beautiful bird. Okay, so from there we moved on and we went to Wilson Botanical Garden, Las Cruces. Another great spot. Got lots of good pictures of birds. We had a couple of they're not allowed to do feeders anymore, but that doesn't mean we can't put out some feeders of our own. So we got Roger was kind enough to put some plantains out, and we got some great shots, a bunch of tanagers. So you can see, I love the silver-throated tanager. You can see coming to
one
our
of my
bananas.
favorites.
The scarlet thiodactys. I mean, just and there's other pictures I think we have of. I mean, the tanagers here, bay-headed tanager, and we had the golden hooded tanager. I mean, they're just stunning. Oh, I love this guy, the speckled tanager. Oh man, he's so like just yeah, so brilliant. What were your any highlights from this portion of the trip for you, Frank? We'll talk about the disaster that didn't happen to us, but our friend. But
Downfalls. I like that we were able to put food out for the birds because
yeah,
that's the easiest way to get pictures of them. I know some people are like, "Oh, that doesn't count," but I'm a beginner photographer, so I appreciate the handicap of having that. And I the first time I went to Costa Rica, they had feeders up. It was still past the like rule that said they couldn't do it, but I guess because it was COVID, they were
mm,
enforcing it. Whatever it was, everywhere we went had some kind of feeder setup going, like hummingbird feeders or fruit feeders. And so I was really missing that on this trip. I know
mm.
it's technically illegal down there now, but I'm glad we were able to put some bananas out there and get some of those tanagers in because it changes the experience. And I don't necessarily agree with their banning on feeding birds down there. I think it's a little bit overreactive, and I don't think the science really backs up what they're claiming happens by doing it. So I hope that at some point that gets reversed or lessened in some way that can kind of bring that back because I think it really does provide a boost to some of these nature reserves that people love to go to and just watch the birds come in while you're sitting there eating.
Yeah, and I think it
This,
brings up another interesting point of like how you know as humans we have a profound impact on the world that we live in, more so than I say any other species, or at least just in more dramatic ways. So, it is feeding birds is that like I said, I think most of the research suggests that feeding birds is helpful to them. They don't become like solely dependent to the point that they can't take care of themselves. But it is something that, you do wonder like how much are we impacting different wild behaviors. Then on the other hand, particularly people who are just kind of getting into bird watching or not in bird watching at all, you see this beautiful bird right in front of you and you're like, whoa, that's really cool. You form a relationship with that. You form a connection with that. And then you want to preserve and help take care of that thing. So I definitely think there is also something to be said for creating a way where people can make a very strong and powerful connection with a creature that may not happen otherwise, or it just may be harder. Like see that bird way up in the canopy up there that you can. It's all backlit, and
yeah, yeah,
so
there's definitely more of a connection when your bird is coming into your backyard and using your bird bath or coming to your bird feeder. It feels more like this is my bird, like my Townsend's warbler has come back. That kind of thing that
yeah,
people kind of feel that connection. I think that's a good thing.
yeah. Even today, I was looking out the window and I saw a bright yellow bird at my bird bath, and I was like, "Oh, what is that? That's a warbler of some kind." And I didn't even have my glasses on; I had just woken up. So I got my binoculars in the car, so I got my camera, and it was my first yellow warbler for the yard. And I was coming to my
Oh,
bird
nice.
bath, and so I do think, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Costa Rica changes that stance moving forward. but we
Yeah.
shall see. I mean, regardless, still, but every place you go to, beautiful, beautiful. What was the the downside of traveling in another place is that if things go wrong, right, it can be especially in medical things, it can be quite it can be unfortunate. We had one of our travelers, they broke their they ended up taking a fall. So like the place we're at had some like kind of like would you call them like cobblestone or not even like well, there's like a
It was
ditch on the side of the path, right?
it was the gutter. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were looking at a bird and didn't watch their footing and then fell in the gutter. And they were an older individual, so anytime that happens is a concern. And their knee was really hurting. So all throughout the trip, we're trying to like because we were only halfway through this point, and we're trying to like make sure they're okay, right? Going to the room with ice and taking food to them. Turns out that they broke their kneecap.
Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh. It's just like I think at the time I was just like, oh, you got your knees pretty bruised up, but yeah, no, like that's pretty serious.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunate. But we did everything that we could to help keep them comfortable and try and enjoy as much of the trip. I think they got an earlier flight back rather than like I think they were on the same flight I was originally, but then had to took an earlier direct flight, something like that.
Yeah, or I think you may have had a layover, so obviously that's not ideal if your knee is broken. Um,
Yeah,
and then
great.
this is also where I forgot my bag. Well, okay,
All
so
right.
let me and I wouldn't say I forgot my bag. I think I just misunderstood. I put my bag out in front of my room and I thought it was going to get taken to the bus because sometimes that's kind of the arrangement. That was not the arrangement for this time. And so we get to our restaurant for the day where we're having lunch and I look to try to, I need to get something for my bag, and I look in the van and it wasn't there. And then I asked, "Oh, did you guys pick up my bag?" And like, "Oh no, you were supposed to bring it." Oh no, it's still back at Las Cruces. So, at this point we're what, like a couple hours away.
At least 3 hours back. We were heading to Savegre and we were like just booking it straight up the hill.
Right, right,
Yeah.
yeah. So I had to pay $200 to get a cab to take my bag from Las Cruces to where we were staying. So that was, that was, yeah, Las Cruces, great birds, but did, logistically and health wise, did not treat our group well. Did not treat our group well.
No,
But
not so much.
as we're moving up and then to the mountains, like Frank said, to Savegre, for those who don't know Costa Rica, Savegre is really high elevation. And this is where you find quetzals. This is where you find higher elevation specialists. It's also really nice because it's, like I think at Savegre, we're like at 7,000 feet. So it's not as humid. It was, in my mind, that was like the best weather we had the entire trip.
Oh,
It was like
that's
70
my
degrees.
favorite place to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice and cool and crisp. The hotel was really nice. Saw quetzals. Um, but yeah, then all the way though, right? Because Savegre's at 7,000 feet, but we had to go over a mountain around like 10,000 feet. So we stopped by and we got our first shot of the Talamanca hummingbird and the fiery throated hummingbird. We have better shots, I believe, of the fiery throat. But again, these are high elevation specialists. So I was really
Oh,
excited to
pretty.
see these guys. Again, I think we have another checklist. But this also, we have our volcano hummingbird as well. So these are guys that people will come over, you got to go up to these higher elevations to see these guys. So it was really cool. I think, all throughout the trip where we've seen all these amazing birds, but even as, we're still going, right? You start some of the birds that you've seen at the beginning of the trip were new to you. Now you've seen them a while, but because there's just so much diversity of habitat and these elevation changes, the kind of change keeps on coming. And I thought that was really, really neat to experience that. But yeah, so then this was
Oh,
where
wow.
we got to see the volcano junco. No one got great pictures of it; just kind of flew in front of us. But you can see the sooty thrush, and her, I mean, I gotta rate this. This is an amazing shot by her. Look at that. It's
It
beautiful.
is.
Blue eye. That's kind of freaky almost. So this,
Can I tell a story about the volcano Junko?
what's that?
Can I tell you a story about the volcano Junko?
Yes, please do. I'll cruise through some of the
Flame-throated
pictures.
warbler is one of my favorite birds to see out there. So
Yeah.
the first time I went to Costa Rica, we did the same leg. We went to Savegre. We were going to go up into the higher elevation for the volcano Junco, but the weather was turning bad, and
Okay.
half
Yes,
the
I think you
people on the
remember
trip
this.
didn't want to go up there. They wanted to go back to the place where you saw the Talamanco hummingbird, or they wanted to stay at the hotel. And so they were like trying to petition the guide not to go. And I was like, when we got here, the only bird I said I wanted to see because you forced me to pick one was the volcano junco. I just pointed to the sheet and I was like, I want to see a volcano junco. I have no idea what it looks like. It sounds cool. Imagine like a Pokemon where it's a little bird with a volcano head or something. I don't know. I want to see one now, right? And so we get there, and to go and see it, it's like an hour up this road and out into the wilderness. And they were like, "No, we don't really want to go." And I was like, "Don't make me play the trip leader card. Like I'm going. Me and the guide and the driver are going. Anybody who wants to come can come." And it was like I was a little worried that we were gonna like come. It's gonna tear the group apart. Like this stupid going to see a volcano junk. And so we ended up doing is everybody piled into the bus. We dropped them off at the cafe where the hummingbird feeders were, and everybody else went up to the mountain. And we saw everything. We saw the junco, we saw the timberline wren, and then we just watched as this bank of clouds just rolled down the volcano, like right onto us, and we couldn't see anything. It was like pea soup kind of thing. And we all just like got back to the bus and went back and picked everybody else up, and everybody was good. It didn't take more than like 25 minutes to get there, see everything, and then avoid the cloud on the way back. It was just a whole thing. So now I have this story with this volcano junco. Every time I get to go see one, it's like, oh, no drama. This is easy. Let's just see the junco.
Yeah, you got to go with people who are serious. They're got to be committed.
I don't know what the. I think they just didn't want to ride in the bus again for another hour to go and see like a
Sure.
junco,
Yeah.
and they missed out.
I think that's the thing too with these kind of trips. You want to try to get, when you get a big group of people, some of them you don't always know. Like for this trip, I knew you and I knew Christina, and that was it. So you don't know how everyone's going to mesh together, and maybe some people have different goals or priorities than other people. So that's always something that's a bit
Yeah.
tricky when trying to put something like this
Always
together.
you get the hardcore listers, you get the diehard photographers, you get people who just want to see the scenery and the archaeology and whatever else is going on, and then people that are just like there to have a good time. And yeah, sometimes the personalities will clash for sure.
Yeah, but not on both the trips, Lisa, that I've been on with you, is everyone's gotten along really well. So, but so we finally make it to Savegre, and this really, in my mind, Frank, this is the creme de la creme of the trip. This was, you could just have, 6 days at Savegre, and people would go to this trip.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that's because of this guy, the resplendent quetzal. Oh man, I mean, just like what a bird! What a bird!
Wow.
I Go ahead.
I was just going to say, thinking of getting to Savegre was kind of what kept me going at the beginning part of the trip when I thought, I was like, I am really not doing well. I could probably like peace out. Nobody would care. And I was like, no, I want to get to Savegre. I want to see the Quetzals again. And it's like, it's hot out. It's going to suck now. But when we get to Savegre, it's going to be nice and cool. We're going to see these amazing birds. Just have to tough it out. So this was like the carrot that kept me going until the end of the trip. And I was so glad that we got such good looks at these Quetzals. I mean, we worked for it, but I'm glad that it was rewarding for everybody.
Yeah, and so if you're
So
just
weird.
listening online, please stop and look at a picture of resplendent quetzal. They are an incredible bird. I texted one of our mutual birder friends and I told him I saw a quetzal. He's like, "Congratulations on seeing a top 10 bird in the world." They just have, the males have these ridiculously long tails. So you can see in this photo right here, our guy was telling us that the indigenous people to the region, they would get the tail feathers, right, and put them in this crown because, oh, like this picture is, because since the tail feathers are so long and they're cavity nesters, when the male has to get out, his tail feathers are still sticking out of, he's totally turned around in the cavity, but his tail feathers are still sticking out. So they kind of look like this little crown coming over his head. But this bird, so we were, what, 15 feet from its nest? It was actually our driver. What was our driver's name again?
Yeah.
Um,
I can't remember.
but he spotted the nest, and so we just sat there because they'll the male and female will take turns, and so it's like, well, the male's in the nest, we can see that, so we're gonna wait until the female comes, and he'll leave, and then we'll get to see the male. So we sat there for what, like an hour, hour and a half.
1.5. Easy. Yeah.
And I remember this
I'm
for
shocked.
my back was starting to hurt. I think of all the travel we did, and so my back was really killing me while we were just sitting on this trail. But it was worth it. It was, I mean, yeah. So like this photo when he flew out and we got to see him. Oh my gosh, it was just like. So I remember one of the guys on our trip. He was a real serious photographer, and afterwards, once the bird kind of flew off, he was like, he was like shaking, and I talked to him like, hey, are you okay? And he was like, I was afraid that he had like messed up his settings or didn't get the shot, but he was just so thrilled. He's like, just what a shot. What an amazing bird. He was literally shaking.
Yeah. It's an experience. And can we talk about how weird it is that this bird is a cavity nester? Nothing about this bird looking at it screams, I'm going to nest in a tree cavity. Like, at all. The long tail, completely impractical. That tiny little
Yeah.
nub of a bill, like, it doesn't make any sense, right?
That's funny. That's
The,
funny.
the
Yeah.
motmots. The motmots are also cavity nesters, but they're
Mm-hmm.
long tail. It's like a thing to do in the tropics. You got a long tail, you got to like hide in a hole, even though your tail
Yeah. I
doesn't fit.
mean, tropic birds are wild. I mean, that's, um, I only have a little experience with the tropics, so I don't know if I can say too much, but yeah, it's a funny point that you make. This really long, because also it's big. It's like the side's kind of like a small crow, so it's not like a tiny little bird. It's a big bird. It's got to find a big cavity. It can't really make its own cavities. I'm pretty sure it's secondary cavity nester.
Yeah.
So
It is funny to
that's a
watch
good
them
point, Frank. I
excavating
like
it
that.
though.
Say that
I
again.
think what happens is I've seen them where they're actually like excavating out cavity a little bit. So it's probably pre-existing, but they modify it a little bit. And I think the wood is so soft that they're actually able to break it apart on the inside with that tiny little bill. So you just see like this bill
Mm,
come out and they drop like this tiny little bit of wood and again, and again. And it's
okay.
just
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we got to give them more credit.
hard work.
Yeah. But I mean, the quetzal is the bird to see when you're in Savegre, but there's tons of other birds that I'd like to show. So that was our main thing there, the quetzal. But a couple of us did some more birding later, and I mean they did have feeders there. I'm not sure why Savegre was breaking the rules, but
Yeah, I don't know.
so we had all these violet ears kind of in and around the feeders. Oh, wow. Herb has this great shot. Oh my gosh. I gotta rate this shot. This is,
It's a live eBird photo rating with Sammy.
yeah, exactly. Talamanca's hummingbird, night is the white-throated mountain gem. Wow, and you can see here's the female. So yeah, so they did have feeders.
I don't know
The
how
volcano.
some places can get away with it, or I don't know what the rules really stipulate.
I don't know, but this was one
Oh,
of
the
my favorite
toucanet.
birds too. The toucanet. Yes, I was very happy to see this guy. Only a couple of us saw him, but I was really happy about that guy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll just say, anytime you have a chance to go to Savegre, do it. The long-tailed silky
Okay.
flycatcher, another kind of iconic Costa Rica high elevation bird. I mean, yeah,
Very cool.
because and this was basically from this place we went to one more spot at the end, but this was kind of our last stop But oh, actually, no, I'm forgetting. Where did we go? We went to that lodge area for the Hummers, right? I'm trying to think, what was it called? Do you remember? Let's see. I'm sure it's. Oh yeah, the Quetzal Lodge. Duh. But this, okay, I got to show this because this, for me, I mean, these photos with the fiery throats, and maybe I can try to throw in maybe I'll upload the video of me holding the feeder, but just the fiery throats here, they were so beautiful, just stunning. And this is actually, we'll see if I can find my shot, but I want to show folks who are watching the video the shot that inspired my tattoo. Or where is it? Did I not upload it? No, I must have uploaded it. Maybe I didn't. What? Doesn't make any sense. Oh, if I didn't, I got to make sure to fix that. Oh, I don't think I uploaded it. How sad.
Wow.
Okay. Well, anyways, if you have seen my tattoo before, you know what I'm talking about. But that was also the highlight for me, just seeing those Hummers so close. I think there's a great picture, and I'll see if I can find that one. Well, like I think there's like me, you, Herb, and Bear. We're all like standing, with our cameras like ready to shoot.
That was really good at the end because when we got to hold the feeders and there was just tons of them everywhere, and I was like, "This is what it was like on the last trip. Finally, we get the feeders." So that was exciting for me. I always like to try to hand feed the birds when I'm out there, at least the hummingbirds. It's probably not great, but it's worth it. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of our Costa Rica in a nutshell, in an hour-long nutshell.
Yeah, that's a big amount. But all right.
Anything we didn't cover, Frank, that you want to make sure we go over?
I don't know. What else did we have on the? No, I think that covered all the random things we wanted to talk about. I mean, I would definitely go back again. Like, there's
Oh, for sure.
Tower Hall I haven't been to. There's all the northern part of the country, so there's still more Costa Rica, and there's still a few birds I haven't seen out there. So I would happily take another trip out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can, explore both slopes. I definitely hope to go to Costa Rica again in the future. But yeah, if you've never done any national birding and you live in the U.S., Costa Rica, great place to start. That's kind of what they are known for, is their ecotourism. So they're very tourist friendly and amazing birds as well. So you'll have plenty of guides that can take you around that are bilingual, and if you don't know Spanish. So yeah, an amazing, amazing place. But that is our Costa Rica recap, or otherwise known as Costa Freaka. And thanks for tuning in with us, everybody. And we'll catch you on the next one.